Hello everyone, this is Debabrata once again, and today I'm planning to take the second part of the after class topic. So, on the last class, we have already covered the part of the dynamic binding. So, I will be starting from the same part where we ended on the last class, and we will continue to learn the topic of abstract class. And for that, obviously, we have a dependency on our last class on dynamic binding. So, I will just request you to if you are coming at first on this class, so I will request you just to revise the previous class where we have discussed about dynamic binding, because anyhow we will be using the same examples, the same settings that we have used on our last class, so that it will be easier for you to grab the idea. So on the last class, if you remember, we have covered we have tried to write the code for this thing, like this menu driven thing we have tried to write the code for. So here we need to input one of the shape out of these four shape listed, and we need to choose one of the activities listed here: area, perimeter, or color. We have achieved that by several ways. We have achieved one of the approach was just an if else statement. The second approach was the dynamic binding. So if I just go to that solution, just to remind you once, just to revise it a bit. So it was our program, if you remember. We have created four objects there and one common object that the name was obj. So we can choose any of the shapes out of the list, and we can choose any of the activities out of the three activities specified there. As per the shape chosen, we can assign that object to the common object name called obj. And after that, on the second menu, as per the choice, we can call it like obj.area, obj.perimeter, obj.color, etc. So here, this common name obj is very important. And by using that common name, we have avoided a long program that I described in our last class. So here, by this common name that is called obj, we can skip a lot of line. And this obj is coming from a common object, common class like square. It can be rectangle, it can be anything. So to make a relation, means to make this square as a base class, we need to put some relation with the other classes. Square is the base class here. Obj belongs to the square class, but we do not have any relation with rectangle, triangle, and circle class. So that how we can write obj equals to obj1. Just to write these statements like obj equals to obj2 or obj equals to obj3, we need to create a link between these classes. So here, if you see, triangle class is extending the square class. So we created a parent-child relationship with all the classes to the square class. So triangle here, you can see square is the base class or square is the parent class of triangle. Here as well, if you see the circle, square is the parent class of circle. So we created a relationship so that here in this program, we can easily assign obj equals to obj3 or obj equals to obj4, just to create a relation between square class and the circle class. That was the purpose. So if we just revise a bit, whatever we have done in our last class, dynamic binding takes place at the runtime. So if I ask you now, tell me what is the content, what obj contains now? Is it a square, or is it a rectangle, or is it a circle, or is it a triangle? You cannot answer because it will be decided on the runtime itself. So that's why it is called dynamic binding. It is not a static binding. It depends on the runtime. That's why it is called dynamic binding. Some people call it as a late binding as well, because it is decided at the runtime itself, like which object will be here inside obj. So it decided lately during the runtime. That's why it is called late binding. Even you do not know which function will be here, means this area is coming from square, or this area, the definition of area is coming from rectangle, or this area refers to triangle area. You do not know which area it is. So that's why it is also called, like, until the runtime, you do not know which method is about to run, which area is about to run. That's why it is called dynamic method dispatch as well. So you can name it dynamic binding, late binding, dynamic method dispatch, all of these points to the same thing. So that's what we call it. So here we have taken square randomly as a base class. You can see the name obj, that is so important here. It belongs to square. But now people might question, like, why square? Why you have not taken rectangle as a base class? Or if I take rectangle, people might ask, like, why not triangle? Why not square? So it is randomly I have taken square as a base class. You can take anything. So to solve this solution, to solve this problem, actually, to stop this conversation, like why square, then to solve this, we can introduce an abstract class. That class is nothing to do in reality. Just it will be there just to uh, just to overcome the conflicts or overcome the questions, like why square, why you have taken square class as a base class, why not rectangle. So just better to solve that, just create an extra class called abstract, and you can take it as a base class. Let me show you what I'm trying to say. So if I take a class called this class, let me make it like a shape. You can give any name. So this class is not a real class. So you can mention it like abstract class shape. And you can make this class as a base class. The entire purpose is like this. So abstract class shape. And here I do not have anything to write. Void area. What will be the function inside? What I can write here inside? I really do not have nothing to write here. Means, will it be a rectangle area or square area? What it will be? I don't know. Nothing to write. So if you do not have anything to write inside, the best part is just write abstract here. If you write abstract, you do not need to define the methods. Okay, you can put it like this. So here I do not have, abstract means nothing to show or nothing to write inside. So that is called abstract. Okay. So if you write abstract void area, so that means here you can skip the definition inside. Okay, you can skip the definition. You can write it in this way. Okay, so this class is now ready for to be used as a base class with no concrete method, no real method. So actually we do not have anything to define here. Shape is just a class that we will use as a base class. So it is not useful. We do not need to define it. So if you do not have anything to define, you can put it as an abstract. And the class also you can name like an abstract, because you do not have anything to write here simply. So now this abstract class is ready. If I just compile it, so this class is ready. Now what we will do, all this square and rectangle, everything, we will point to the shape now. No need to be square, no need to be the base class anymore. So we can now put the base class as shape everywhere. We do not need to put square as a base class, because it was controversial. Everyone will say, like, why square? So we choose to shift it into the shape. We have to make some class as a base class. So it is good to make a new class called shape, and that should be an abstract, because we do not need that. We do not need to write anything inside. So shape will be the class now. And here as well, we can make it like shape. So if we just compile, you can see it is okay now. So we can run the same program again, and it will give me the output. So just one change, instead of square, we can make shape as a base class. That's all. So if we run the program, Let's see. So we can choose anything like 3 for triangle and 2 for perimeter. So it will show us triangle perimeter. So that is a dynamic way once again, but the only changes is we can make a nonsense class, or we can make a abstract class that is not in reality, that doesn't have any real method. Just to use it as a base class, we can choose this. So if I go to the slide, it is also written here. The main purpose of the abstract class is to create a base class from which it may other classes can be derived. So that's all. That's all. So now if I just go to the topic one by one, so we can, if they ask to create a menu driven program, the same menu with abstract class, we can do that. We have already done that actually here. We have already done that. Okay, so the only changes here, I have written shape obj. So here, one important thing, I'm just coming to that point. Here, I cannot do this thing because you cannot create an object of the shape class because nothing is there. So you have to mention anyone. So for the time being, I have written square or anything you can write. You can write rectangle, anything for the time being. It will work. Okay. So, but the main thing is obj is now belongs to shape. And basically, why it is not running? Why, if I write shape here, why it will not run? Because shape has nothing inside. You can see in shape, if you see, there is nothing. We just using the name as a base class. Shape, area, perimeter, we basically have nothing. We are just defining that just to be used as a base class. That's the purpose. So that's why you can put anything here for the time being. We will check that later as well. We will try to improve that situation as well. But for the time being, I have not made any changes here. You can see rest of the programs are same. So we have already done this. So we have only 3 topics today. So if I just quickly go to the topic 2, that is the use of abstract class actually. So if I just go to topic 2, why? Now the question is which one is better? Dynamic binding or the abstract class? Obviously, you see in dynamic binding, you have to put any of the class as a base class, and in abstract class, you can create an extra class that will act like a base class. That is the difference. But task wise, if you say which one has to be used, the both are same. But if you ask me, I will vote for abstract class because there are some other facilities available for the abstract class. Like if I create some situation like this, always the situation is not that good. Suppose now we have some activities called diameter and diagonal. So diameter is applicable only for circle and diagonal is applicable for square and rectangle only. Suppose if it is the situation, it is not always like all the activities belong to all the shapes. It might happen. Some users might have some extra features. Some users are the corporate users or the VIP users. They might get some extra facility from the bank. It might happen. So same here. Some extra facilities for circle. Circle will be having diameter and some extra facilities for diagonal that belongs to square and rectangle. So how you can put this thing into, sorry, how you can put this thing into reality? Because some activities are there which doesn't belong to everyone. So if I just go to circle, here I can simply add one extra thing like void color, say diameter, something. If I just compile, it is okay. And for rectangle, I can choose the, what is the other one? Diagonal. I'm not going into the mathematical things because mathematical things is not needed. You are good with mathematics, I know. So you can just carry on with the, if you want to replace all these things with mathematics, it is also okay. So just I'm putting something like void diagonal here and as well as into the square because square can also have diagonal. But triangle cannot have diameter or diagonal, so I can change accordingly. So here. So now the question is, what will happen if here, if I choose suppose, okay, let me do some modifications here as well. Let me introduce those two new activities. So enter 4 for suppose diagonal and enter 5 for diameter. Okay. And here also, let me make some changes. So, but obviously you are thinking about one thing, like if anyone choose triangle and then choose the diameter or diagonal, what will happen? So I am thinking the same thing actually. So it is why it is giving error. Okay, I got it. So it is already giving error. You can see if you just touch here, you can see it is saying undeclared method diameter because diameter is not a part of everywhere. Diameter is only part of circle. Diagonal is not part of everywhere. So it is already started giving the errors. So one solution is put diameter everywhere in triangle. You can say like void diameter, and you can say like, okay, system dot out dot println, like triangle cannot have, or diameter doesn't exist, something like that. But the problem is here we have only shape circle with diameter. So here it is not justified to put unnecessary functions in triangle for diameter. Again, here in circle, diameter is fine, but here in rectangle, we have to put a diameter. Again, in square, we have to put a diameter. It is not good because diameter is applicable only for circle. Why should we mention that everywhere? In triangle, in rectangle, in square, it is not justified. Just for one shape, we have to give it everywhere. It is really not justified. So the better thing will be if something doesn't belong to some shape, then do not need to give it here. So just, okay, let me delete it from rectangle as well because it is not a good thing. Diameter doesn't belong, has no relation with rectangle. So why should I give that everywhere? So if some activities doesn't belong to some shapes, you can mention it here. So abstract class obviously can have some abstract method. Those methods are not concrete, but abstract class also can contain some concrete method. So this is a real method. You can call it like a real methods, or you can call it like concrete methods, whatever you can call it. So this is a real method. So if anyone asks during the interview, if abstract class can contain some real methods or concrete methods or not, you can say like yes, abstract class can contain some real methods as well. So here I can write void diameter. Diameter doesn't exist. Also, I can write for diagonal. So I can write void diagonal, and I can write diagonal doesn't exist. So if you remember overriding, if you remember, so here triangle class is extending the shape. It is inheriting shape. So by default, it will inherit diagonal and diameter from the shape class. If you remember our inheritance class. What will happen for circle? For circle, it will override, it will inherit the diameter class. It will inherit the diameter method from the class shape, but on the top of that, it will override that with its own version. Overwrite. Yeah, it will overwrite this method. Now it has two methods named diameter. One is coming from shape. Listen very carefully. One is coming from shape, and it has its own version. So its own version will be overridden on the top of the shape version. So it will always take this version for diameter. And also the another one, diagonal, will be overloaded as well. So that's the thing. So now Rectangle will be overriding diagonal and inheriting diameter. So it will be like overriding diagonal, because one of the diagonal version is available in the shape class. It is inheriting the shape class, so it will be overriding that version. And diameter, it doesn't have any diameter, so it will inherit the diameter. So that's what it will do. Same for square. So it will override the diagonal, because it has now two versions, one coming from shape, one its own version. So obviously it will prioritize its own version. So override diagonal, and it has no diameter. So it will inherit the diameter method. So that's what it will do. So now if I go to the shape class, and if I just control K, now look, it looks okay. You can see no more errors. So now if I just run the program, you can see 1, 2, 3, 4. Let me choose 3, say 3 for triangle. And if I choose diameter, so obviously triangle do not have diameter. So suppose if I choose 5, so sorry, if I choose 5, so it will show diagonal doesn't exist. Okay, probably I have done something wrong. I have done something wrong with the menu. Okay, 4 for diagonal, 5 for diameter. It is, the names are very confusing. Okay, 4 for diagonal and 5 for diameter. The menu was wrong basically. So okay, fine. Now if I run again, yeah, if I run again, because I really do not like to remember the program. It is good to make some mistakes, but keep your brain free out of all those memorization things. Do not remember all those things, just do it on spot. So if I now choose triangle and diameter, obviously it will show diameter doesn't exist. You can see. So now on the contradictory, like if I choose circle and diameter, it will give me the overridden version. So if I choose circle and diameter, it will show me, again, something wrong I'm doing. Why circle color? Again, I have to make some changes probably. So what I'm doing wrong here, obj.diameter, okay. Probably in circle, I have written something wrong. Yeah. Here you can see I have written circle color. So here it will be diameter. I make always those mistakes in my office as well, but I then correct it. So I'm not a good student. I am not a good, what can I say? Okay, let me check rectangle. Yeah, rectangle diagonal. I have written it correctly. I always do some silly mistakes. So if you also doing the same mistakes, so do not worry. So it is a common thing. Just one thing, do not try to memorize all those theory and memorize all those definitions. Just do it in your own way. Okay. You might do some mistakes, but keep practicing, keep watching the error messages. So you will be able to understand what is wrong. So here, if I choose again circle and diameter, so here you can see circle diameter. So it is now giving me the correct result. So for the circle, it is using its own version that is called overriding. And for triangle, it has no diameter. So it is inheriting the default method from the class shape. It is called inheritance. So we are using all the features here. And it is now looks like a complete program. So as a last topic, I will just revise all those things once. I will revise all the properties of abstract class. And it is not like, okay, if you are worried about this software, why I am doing all those things in the blue Java, it is not like that. We can go into online Java compiler anywhere. We can write the abstract class program. So if I just try to show you something here as well, apart from all those tough codes and all. Okay, let me stop this advertisement thing. I do not like it much. Okay, now if I just go to the properties one by one, the first property is it is not possible to create an object of abstract class. We have already seen that. Now let me replicate that here. So if I just create one abstract class called ABS CLS ABS class. And if I just write some method like abstract method or real method, whatever you can say, like, okay, I will not write any method for the time being. So if I just try to do something like ABS class obj equals to new ABS class. So if I do that, it will, if I just run here, it will show me an error. It is showing the same error message. ABS class is abstract. You cannot create any instance or any object of the abstract class. So that is pretty normal. Here, I am trying to summarize all of the things we have learned or all of the properties that might be asked during the interview. So I'm just summarizing all of them, just revise all of them, all of those properties. So it is not possible to create an object of abstract class. We have seen it here with these simple examples. You can try it by yourself as well. So the second point is abstract class can have concrete methods that we have already checked. It can have some real methods. So abstract class, generally, abstract class has some abstract method like ABS method, say. If I can write some method, I can write something like abstract class, abstract method, something. Oh, sorry, what I'm doing. Again, I'm doing something nonsense. Okay, abstract method doesn't have any body, but I can create it some real methods like void real methods or concrete methods, whatever you can call it. And here I can mention like the abstract class real methods or concrete methods, whatever you can call it. So that is the thing. So abstract class obviously can have some abstract methods. That is what it is made for. Even it can have some real method. In our last example, diagonal and diameter was the real methods or concrete methods. So it is normal. So the next option is in if a class extends an abstract class, then it should override the abstract method. What it is trying to mean? So if I define a class, suppose if I define a class, normal class, like if I define a class like class, normal class, suppose normal, say let me write it in this way, normal class. So if it extends abstract class, and you cannot put it like this. If you compile, okay, let me turn this sentence off. So if I just run, it will show a message like normal class is not an abstract and doesn't override the abstract method in the abstract class. So it is trying to mean a normal class, if it is extending the abstract class, you have to define abstract methods. The same we did in our shape class as well. The abstract methods were if you see, the abstract methods were, uh, if you see here, the abstract methods were area, perimeter, and color. Whoever extends this shape class mandatorily define it here. You can see all of them define the body of the methods here. Whoever extends the abstract class. So same applicable, it is a property. So if a normal class is extending abstract class, is inheriting abstract class, you have to put the body here. So here it will no more give the error if I define a method here, like abstract method. If I define the method here, so I can write something system.out.println like normal class method, normal class abstract method something. So I'm just calling it from the normal class. So if I now run, it will be okay. You can see it is okay. It is running. I'm not running any line, so but it is not giving the problem error anymore. So if a normal class is extending the abstract class, it has to be defining the body. Otherwise, it will give me a error like this. It will say doesn't override abstract method ABS method in abstract class. So you are not overriding the ABS method in the normal class, and that is the problem. But what is about this line? Normal class is not abstract. So that means if this class, normal class, is an abstract class, it can skip defining the methods. So if I run now, there will be no problem. Look, there is no error anymore. So if it is a normal class, it has to define the abstract method. But if it is another abstract class, then you can skip defining. Okay. If it is a normal class, then you have to define this method, this abstract method. But if it is an abstract class who is inheriting another abstract class, then you can skip defining the body, defining the methods. Okay. So that is another rule. If I just go to the slide, if a class extends an abstract class and not overriding abstract method, then it has to be another abstract class. So if you want to skip defining the methods here, then this class has to be an abstract class as well. Only abstract class has the power to skip defining methods. But if it is a normal class, you have to define the body. Okay. So that's the properties. Now, if I just go further, abstract class can only have the reference. You cannot write abstract class obj equals to new abstract class. If you remember our first class about dynamic binding, this is called reference. If you do not write the right hand part, if you do not write right hand part, it is an reference. So abstract class only define the reference. Okay. If you want, you can, if you want, you can write the reference like abstract class, but on the right hand side, you have to give some normal class. So you can write a normal class here. Now, if I run obj.abs method, it will run. So what you can do, maximum abstract class can be defined until reference. On the right hand part, you have to mention a normal class. So that is the property. So if I just run here, it will show me normal class abstract method. You can see. So maximum you can do this, but if you want, you can put everything as a normal class. That is also okay. So it depends on you. So if you want, you can define everything as a normal class. It will still work. But if you want to go further, maximum you can put abstract class here. Okay. So if you run, it will also okay. So abstract class can be created as a reference. But if you want to put it here on the right side, it will not work. We have already seen that in our last program as well. Here as well, it will give the error. So it is the kind of first property as well. It is not possible to create an object of abstract class. Maximum, you can create a reference of abstract class. Hope so the idea is clear. Abstract class may not have abstract method. Okay. So it is very weird as well. So abstract class cannot have any abstract method as well. So if I just remove this, it is also okay. You can see abstract class can skip any abstract method. So we do not have any abstract method. So let me delete this line as well. So basically, it will not do anything. It will not give any output, but it will also not give any error. It is okay. There is an abstract class, but with no abstract method. In our case, shape, if you remember, it is an abstract class because it is holding some abstract method. But in reality, if you want, you can skip any abstract methods as well inside abstract class. It is also okay. Okay. So that is one of the property. If it was asked by interviewer, you can say like, yes, it is totally okay if an abstract class doesn't have any abstract method. It is quite okay. The another thing, abstract class may have constructor as well. So if I just go here, if I just define everything back, so abstract class can also have some constructor. So if I just define abstract class constructor, hope so you remember what is a constructor. We have learned it on the very first class of class and object. So here we can write abstract constructor. So constructor anyhow will be running on the first place. So you can see this ABS constructor as a first line. So it is the constructor. If needed, you can define it something. I'm not making it much complicated. I'm just showing you some properties here. So that's basically all the properties of abstract class can be asked during the interview. Hope you have understood all the problems. The main part is not memorizing the definition of abstract class. I have tried my best to just make you understand what is the actual need of abstract class. But during the interview, if they ask the definition, you can tell the definition. If and only if they want to go further, they want to check the concept, then only you can describe with this shape and activities. You can describe a bit in 1 or 2 minutes, like, okay, this is the one real-time scenario when abstract class is needed. Otherwise, we have to go through a very long program. Even dynamic binding is okay, but abstract class has some extra features like diagonal and diameter. It might happen some users or some shapes doesn't have all the properties. It has some chosen properties, it has some selective properties or selective activities. At that time, abstract class, we can use the properties of abstract class, because abstract class can also contain some concrete methods. So we can use that thing as well to make our menu more operative or more significant. So something like that. So that is the use of actually abstract class. And in our last slide here, we have used all the properties. We have tried to replicate all the properties through some very small programs. So if needed, you can show them these programs as well. Whenever needed, when whatever will be asked, according to that, you can write some normal class, some abstract class, very small class. Do not need to come up with some big programs. Big programs might lead to some errors as well. So these small examples will be okay. And for you, especially to remember all the properties, I will request you just to go through all the codes by yourself. Do not copy paste, though I will be providing all the codes in the description sections, but I want you to try all the programs, make some mistakes, make the errors, then try to solve those errors. Then only you will be able to learn all those things. So that's all for the time being. Just let me know if you still have any doubt, any question, any query, anything. Just let me know through this Facebook group or the mail ID or the comment section below. So that's all for the time being. I will try to show some further topics regarding this on our next class. That's all for the day. Bye.